Greetings, my name is Kerry and welcome back to my channel. Today I have for you my first book haul of the year officially. So this is my winter book haul. Usually this would cover the months from December to the end of February, but my previous book haul I included December in that. I filmed it in January, so it made sense. Generally when I film them I'm going to do up to and including the day of filming for any books that have arrived. So this is books that I've received since the beginning of January through to today, which is the middle of March. There's not that many, which is good. There's more than there should be because I'm not meant to be buying books, but I mean some of them there's good reasons why they're there. Some of them there are less good reasons. I think I'm going to start with some of the ones that I have already talked a little bit about, which are my book club books. So most of these you should have seen before. I've actually done pretty well at not having to buy any books for Ninja Book Club yet, apart from one which I'm going to talk about, because I managed to either get them from the library or the book has been one that I've already owned. The one I did buy, actually I had borrowed it from the library, but then I saw it in a charity shop for 50p. So this is The Good Immigrant, which is edited by Nikesh Shukla, but it is written by a number of, I think it's 21 Black, Asian or minority ethnic authors living in the UK. I am about halfway through it because I am slow at reading essays, but there's some really good stuff in here and some of them have really made me laugh and really made me think as well. So this was a very good pick. This was our February book. I'm still going with it. I will get there eventually. Then for my theology book club, we've got one that I've already talked about, which is The Life and Work of a Priest by Pritchard. So this was our February pick and I've already finished this one. I've talked about it quite a lot, so I'm not really going to go into much detail on that. Then we have our March book, which is Sustaining Leadership by Swann. This is the one I'm currently reading. I'm only about 30 pages into it, so I need to get a shift on because book club is next week. This is really good so far. This is about self-care and about learning how to balance things so that you're not overworked and not putting too much of a strain on yourself and avoiding burnout and that sort of thing as a leader. This is more specifically written about church experience, but I think some of the lessons in it are quite practical for those outside the church as well. And then I've just bought the book for April, which is Clergy in a Complex Age, which is a collection of essays by a number of different people in church leadership. So some of them actually are authors that we've read from. So Pritchard is in this one, and Magdalene Smith, who wrote our January book, also has written something in there. So this is to do with, I haven't actually looked at it yet, different issues people in church leadership might come up against, I guess. I don't really know until I start it, and I won't start this until I finish the other one. So we'll see. You'll probably see this coming up in one of my wrap-ups at some point. I'm going to keep going with the ones that I have good excuses for. The next one I actually ordered at the end of December. It just didn't arrive until January. So technically I bought it last year. This is called Old Wives' Tales by Clare Heath-Whyte. This is the first in a series of, I think it's non-fiction, but told in a maybe slightly novelistic style, if that makes sense. So this is the stories of the wives of prominent figures in church history. This one includes a number of women from the Wesley family and people around that time. She's also written a couple of other books following, again, different wives of prominent men in church history and sort of highlighting the role that they played in their husband's ministry in a time when women's roles were really restricted and undermined. A friend recommended this to me ages and ages ago and never quite got around to getting it, so I ordered this with some of my Christmas money. As I said, didn't arrive until January, which is why it's on this list. Two more books that I actually bought last year but didn't arrive until this year because I bought them as part of a Kickstarter campaign. These are both from Three of Cups Press. They're a small press and they specialise in essay anthologies. They published one of my favourite books of last year, which was on anxiety. This is their most recent book, which is on relationships. This was what the Kickstarter was to fund. The support level I went in for, I also got a copy of On Bodies, which is one of their earlier anthologies. I'm really looking forward to getting to these at some point when I have a gap in my reading schedule for reading essay collections. I'm still reading The Good Immigrant at the moment, so I can only really have one collection of essays on the go at a time. I mean, some of them are essays, some of them are short stories, some of them are cartoons or poetry. lots of different mediums involved in these books, and they're really cleverly, really sensitively put together. They really put a lot of thought into who they include in these anthologies, so I'm really looking forward to getting to both of those. Finally, for this little subsection, I have the last book that I have a good excuse for, really, which is the latest book I've got from my And Other Stories subscription, which is called Invisible Yet Enduring Lilacs by Gerald Murnane. He is an Australian essayist. I think it's a collection of essays again. What I love about And Other Stories, along with many publishers, is that they actually print your name in it if you support the publication of the book. And Other Stories are a really great publisher, and I've really enjoyed most of the stuff I've read from them, so hopefully this will be no exception. And then I'm going to talk about 2 books that were gifted to me. So one of these I won in a giveaway on Twitter. Hopefully, I think this is going to be the sort of thing I really love. This is A Queen in Hiding by Sarah Kozloff, sorry if I've said that wrong. This is her debut novel, and it's the start of a series, a fantasy series, about a queen who is forced to go on the run and has to try and come to terms with the magic that she is born with and try and find a way to use that to reclaim her kingdom. I don't know whether the other books are published yet. It's kind of unclear. It does say this is her debut, first published last year, so I'm assuming the other books have been, because they're on the back, they have been titled already, but they've not been released yet. I was really excited to win this. I'm really looking forward to getting to this because it seems like the sort of thing I really love. And then another book I was given, you may know if you've been following my channel that I had a really rough couple of months, sort of end of December, beginning of January. I had to take some time off work due to my mental health, and I was feeling really down one day, and I put a joke on Twitter about people sending me books to cheer me up. Someone actually took it seriously, which was the wonderful Alex from Alex Black Reads. She asked me for my Amazon wishlist and she picked a book to send me off that. She's also very sensitive to the fact that I have a massive TBR, so she ended up buying me a cookbook, Baking with Kim Joy. So Kim Joy was a finalist on the Great British Bake Off a couple of years ago and always came up with these really gorgeous, quirky designs of making her bakes into really cute, fun things. So there's lots of tips in here about how to decorate things in a really cute way. While the basic cake recipes and biscuit recipes in here seem quite straightforward, it's really cute and lovable. I'm a little bit intimidated by how amazing she makes everything look, and I'm not very skilled at decorating. So at some point I will attempt some of these bakes and see how they go. I mean, it's a good opportunity for me to practice my decorating skills, I guess. So then the books that I don't have excuses for, really, just I wanted to buy them. I don't know, I can't even justify it. So I've got 2 that I got right at the start of the year in charity shops. First one is Thief's Magic by Trudi Canavan. This is another fantasy story. I've heard really good things about Trudi Canavan as an author. She's quite a prolific fantasy author, so I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy this one, and I think I actually got this in the library in their sale. I've been meaning to read some of her books for a while, and I thought at that price I might as well give it a try. Around the same time I found this one in a charity shop. This is Station 11 by Emily St John Mandel. I've heard so many good things about this book, but it is about a global pandemic, and actually the author herself is recommending you don't read it at the moment, so it'll probably be a little while before I get to this one now, but I've heard so many good things about it that I know I do want to read it at some point. I just will probably wait for the current situation to resolve itself a bit more, and then we'll be getting onto that one. And then finally I've got 2 more books here. The first one is one that I actually still had on pre-order and I forgot that I had on pre-order, which is a sequel, so it's a one I need to carry on a series. This is Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi. I had the paperback on pre-order because I really did enjoy the first one, but not enough to want to buy the hardback when it first came out, which I think was December, so I waited for the paperback for this one. Looking forward to carrying on with this series quite soon. I've not actually heard that many people talking about the sequel yet, so really will be interested to see when the reviews of that start coming up, because the first book had a lot of hype, and then after the hype died down a bit there were quite a lot of people with less than generous opinions on it, so I'm really interested to see how the follow-up measures up to the first book, because when I was reading the first book I really did love it, and I think I gave it 5 stars. On reflection, compared with a lot of other books I've read that year or since then, actually if I reread it maybe would only get 4 stars, but I'm really interested to see how the story develops in this one. And then the most recent book that I bought, I had lunch with a friend who'd been through a really rough time as well, and yeah, sometimes I was in town and sometimes, well, I found myself in Waterstones and I just needed to buy a book. I just needed to. Like, I know that sounds ridiculous to anyone that's not bookish, but there's just something so comforting about bookshops, and I was browsing in there for ages and I thought I can't leave empty-handed, so I kept going back and forth about which book to buy, and then I saw this one on the shelf, and this is one that I have wanted to pick up for a while. I've heard a number of good reviews on it. So this is A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos. This is translated from French, so at some point I think I will try and get the French copy as well, but I want to read it in English first. This is the first in, I think it's a fantasy series again, but maybe more of an urban fantasy, and I've heard some really wonderful things about it, so I'm really looking forward to picking this one up, and I do really love these covers as well. I think they're gorgeous. So that is it. That is all the books I have acquired between the beginning of January and now. It's not actually too bad. I think it's only about 11, 12, 14. Maybe 14. I can't count. Considering I'm not meant to be buying books at all, that is more than I should have been buying, but actually it's not that bad so long as I slow down a little bit over the coming months and don't keep buying this amount of books. We'll have to see how that goes. But anyway, let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, if there's any that you think I should prioritise and try and get to quicker. But that's all I've got to say for today, so please like this video if you liked it, please subscribe if you haven't already. You can also follow me on my social media. I'm on Goodreads and I'm on Twitter, and you can find out all the information you need about that in the description box. But yeah, that's it for today, so thank you so much for watching and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!